This morning, Governor Josh Green joins us in studio to talk about the issues he is prioritizing as we finish the first quarter of the year. Good morning, Governor. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
I can't believe it's almost the end of the first quarter of the year.
Yes, that's amazing, and lots of work's going on, mostly Maui-related work, and then the legislature, of course, is finalizing the budget. So this is that time of the year we call crunch time over at the Capitol.
Now, speaking of Maui, I know right now, as we're working to rebuild and educate ourselves about proper wildfire mitigation, your administration has been pushing for HECO to effort securitization to cover some of those incurred costs. Can you explain how that benefits us as customers?
Right, so the disaster occurred. We don't want to see rates go up a lot. We also don't want a total collapse of our energy partner. So in general, when these kind of things happen, they are allowed to apply a very small cost to a bill, and then usually we aim for a refund from that cost. They take that money and then borrow against it. I'm working behind the scenes quite a lot right now to see if we can make sure we stabilize our partnerships, because we don't want to see 10%, 15%, and so on increases. The bill, though, right now that we're supporting would keep any increases at a very small minimum. The risk, of course, is if a company comes in, swoops in, and we don't know them, they could raise rates very precipitously, and we want to, in general, avoid that. But HECO has a lot of accountability up in front of them, and everyone should be responsible for the recovery.
I know in other places I have seen significant wildfires like Paradise in California, those people have seen increases in their electricity bills in the years following. Yeah,
we want to see the legislature keep a lid on that. Also, I'm working to bring some additional partners in that can invest in HECO or invest in our energy grid in general. Plus, the trip I took to D.C. was meant to see the Department of Energy leaders so they can invest in our grid so that we don't have to put quite as much money up, in other words, state dollars, state tax dollars, into the reestablishment of some of the security for our power grid. If we can get that money, which we will get, then we'll be better off. Plus, I've worked with the Navy and the military to see if we can't have some help from them on their rate paying. They usually consume about 10% of all of our energy in the state, and they've been willing partners in this way. So lots of work to try to keep our rates down. Also, over time, I want us to have larger discussions about complementing all of our renewables. We have to make sure we have a bridge to the future, and that bridge should include any options to decrease the amount of oil. We don't want to use as much like oil fuel, diesel, but I do want to get us to the end where we use full renewables with cleaner energy. And so that's a discussion that will happen in the next 6 months.
Awesome. And I know the last time you were here, you were getting ready to head to Japan to talk about tourism. Tourism right now from Japan still low.
Yes.
Since the pandemic happened. So how did your trip go? Are we hoping to maybe see some of those numbers start to increase?
We're certainly hoping. We're doing a couple things. We are opening up a corridor between Japan and Hawaii. We call it a pre-clearance corridor so people can get in here more easily and we can get there more easily. We have a lot of our travelers going to Japan because there's 151 yen to every dollar. Until that settles down, it's going to be hard to get them here. Also, Jamie and I are going to be making sure to promote travel to Hawaii with our family so people can see this as a family place. It's a wonderful place to come. I think that ultimately we're going to have to offer some packages to the Japanese travelers because the costs are really high for them. They've had deflation over the years, meaning that they are making less money in many cases than they were 15 or 20 years ago. But of course, prices have gone way up for hotels, food, everything in the United States. So that makes it more difficult. Plus, there's another problem. The Japanese community, the young generation, is not getting married at the same rates. And a third of all of our Japanese travelers have been here for weddings. So that means we just don't have that market available to us. It's super difficult when you see large societal changes like that. And look, I'm going to work hard as a governor, but I don't think I can convince the Japanese people to get married. So my role is going to be to keep us open and encouraging people to travel here, but we will have to find some new niches.
When are we maybe hoping to see some of those numbers start to tick up with those programs that we're working on getting in place?
Well, the idea is that we'll get back to normal by 2026, so we'll see it incrementally increase. It was down at like 20% for several months, and then it's crept up after COVID to 40%. Each incremental benefit helps us, and the Japanese historically were 15% of our travelers, but 30% of the revenue, so it's even more important that they come. I was in Waikiki doing a staycation. Jamie and I were helping as chaperones for our daughter's junior prom this weekend, and there were a lot of people around, but they were almost all travelers from the mainland.
I've noticed the same thing while I've been in Waikiki. But Governor, before we let you go, today the eclipse is happening, and we have some special glasses here.
Yes.
For the eclipse. He wanted to try them on earlier, so I'm going to let him give it a go. Yes. Do you have plans for where you're going to watch this eclipse, Governor, once you leave our studio?
I do. I'm going to go outside on the 5th floor and look, wear glasses like this. Make sure they're legit glasses so you don't burn your retina. You can see a lot of retinal damage in people if they stare straight at a partial eclipse. Last eclipse was a while ago. It's an amazing thing. It, of course, has generated all kinds of mythologies for peoples across the globe over the centuries. But be careful, because this is a somewhat serious thing, because you can cause eye damage. These glasses are legit, so well done.
Thank you, Governor. Of course, wise words right there. So if you want to see the eclipse, make sure you're protecting your eyes. And we're actually going to have more on the eclipse in just a little bit. Thank you, Governor, for joining us.
Thank you.